The offline updater has completed, and now the Windows Server update has finished. So we are completely up to date. So let's see what happens when we come out and type WinVer. We're still on 1607, but we're on a higher incremental number, 2515. All right, so now what we're ready to do is, I think, Sysprep it. Let's see what this is. Updates were installed. Let's clear everything. So I think we're ready to go ahead and Sysprep. What do you think? All right, let's give it a try. Let's see if it's any different than Windows 10. So we'll go, let's eject that DVD. Just make sure that's gone. Come here to Windows, System 32. Come to the Sysprep folder and double click. And we're going to enter out of box. We're going to generalize and we're going to shut down. And let's keep our fingers crossed. Now, if this works, this will be our new gold image. We don't need to keep that other one that we exported earlier. So we will need to export this Sysprep image as our new gold image. Now you could keep the other one and you could just give this one a different name if you wanted to, but I see no reason to keep the previous version. These updates took a while. Even with the offline updater, they took more than about an hour. So I just didn't see any need to film it watching me reboot the computer multiple times. I think it took about 2 passes for the offline updater to work, and then a couple more on the Windows update through Windows Server update. Okay, it looks like that worked. It is now shut down. So we now have our Sysprep Windows Server 2016 Gold image. Let's go ahead and take another checkpoint. Alrighty. So now what we can do is go ahead and export this, but the first thing I want to do is go to the other one that I exported. So I'll go to the network, go to the NAS, we'll go to the Veeam Backups folder, and we'll go to Exports, and I think we should just be able to right click and choose Delete, and it should get rid of the folder. Yes, it did. So now we can come up here and we can export that, go back to our NAS and Veeam Backups and Exports folder, select that folder and export it. So the export was complete. It took about 5 minutes to export that file. So now that we have the virtual machine exported to a safe location and it's been Sysprepped, we can delete it from here. And don't forget, we have to go out to our hard drive and we have to delete the VHD for it as well. And there we go. So now we've got our Windows 7 machine, our Windows 10 Sysprepped machine, and our Server 2016 Sysprepped and exported, and we're ready to create virtual machine lab machines from it. So let's start with our Windows 7 machine. Alright, so now what we need to do is come in and click on this button up here, Import Virtual Machine. We're going to click on Next. We're going to go out to that folder where we exported everything. So it's on our NAS, under Veeam, under Exports, and there's our Windows 7 Ultimate Gold. We're going to select that folder, click Next. We'll see it was created on the 12th at 11:24 a.m. Windows 7 Ultimate Gold. Next. Again, copy the virtual machine and create a new unique ID. Click on Next. We're going to accept the defaults for storage. Click on Next. We're going to accept the default for our virtual hard drive. Click Next. Verify that our summary information looks complete. It does. Click on Finish and let it run. So as this machine is being imported, you can see the kind of speed I'm getting on my Ethernet connection, nearly 1 gigabit per second. So running about 900, 920, down to 700, up to 900. This is my Synology NAS it's connecting to. So the Synology NAS does really well even in a Windows networking environment. It should do well in any networking environment. But if you know my experiences with Linux in the past, which is the core that this is built on, have had trouble with transfer speeds in the past. The Synology NAS, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to have that issue. So I just wanted to show that to you while the machine was importing. Well, that import took all of about 5 minutes, but now there's something we need to do. We need to rename the machine, and not only do we need to rename the virtual machine, but we need to rename the virtual hard drive because we don't want there to be any confusion. So the first thing I'm going to do is pick a name for this machine. So I'm going to do, let's see. Let's rename this to Windows 7 Ultimate, and then we'll call it New Lab 1. Okay, so now we've renamed the virtual machine. However, we still have, if we check here under settings, we still have the old name right there, and we need to rename that. So what I did was I picked the oldest checkpoint, and I right-clicked, and then I chose delete checkpoint. And what I did was it merged the checkpoint. So now it's current. If we come up here to settings, we'll now see that we're pointed to the right virtual hard disk. I'm going to browse to it. And we're going to rename this. So I'm going to right-click on the virtual hard drive and choose rename. And I'm going to call it W7U-New Lab 1. Enter. Oh, I named it wrong. Don't you love mistakes? Windows 7 Ultimate. And enter. Okay. Yeah, I know. Select the right name, choose open, apply. So now our machine is named properly. And it looks like everything should be good. So let's see if we can connect to it and start up the virtual machine. See if all went well. We probably should not have made checkpoints, but I think I think we will be fine. Well, proof's in the pudding, right? Not like making mistakes while you're making the video. So it appears as if it is in coming into its first boot, coming out of Sysprep. So I'm hoping we'll be okay. Yes, it's installing devices. So this is a good sign. Back in the Windows 7 days, this is what you would see when you got a brand new PC from Dell or Compaq or whoever else was making them. Now, one thing is I'm going to have to enter Adama 1 because when I sysprep the machine, I already had Adama in there. So, and I'm going to give this W7U New Lab 1 as the name, all in caps. Just how I like to do it. And we'll go ahead and type in our super secret password and our little password hint. And I'm going to take the checkbox off, and I'm going to skip activation right now. I'm going to accept the Windows 7 Service Pack 1 license terms, click Next. I'm also not going to update automatically. I'm going to make sure my time zone is set correctly, and I'm going to tell it I'm connected to a work network, and hopefully, if I've done everything properly, we should be at a brand new install of a Windows 7 Ultimate in a virtual machine. Hoping. Nothing like hoping. And there we go. Now we're up at the Windows 7 desktop. So, see if anything else comes up. Looks like our network is connected. Go to our computer, come to properties, and let's see what we got here. So we have a Windows 7 Ultimate Edition with Service Pack 1. We have a Xeon 2.4 gigahertz processor, 2 gig of RAM. We go into our device manager. It appears we have, our Hyper-V video. We have our 2 CPUs. We have our storage controller. We have our disk drives. and all appears to be well with the world. Now, the other thing I didn't do is, under settings, I did not take this information off. So I need to go ahead and delete that because now it's a standalone image. So we'll go ahead and click on apply and then OK. So there you go. There's our Windows 7 image. Now let's do the same thing with our Windows 10 image. So we'll come over here and do import virtual machine. Click on next. We're going to browse to that MCS NAS again, to our Veeam backup folder and our exports folder, and we're going to do our Windows 10 Pro Gold. Double clicks and we'll select that folder. Click on next. Windows 10 Pro Gold, it was created on 9/12. Click on next. We're going to copy the virtual machine, create a new unique ID. Do not forget to do this or you're going to have trouble. Click on next. Accept the defaults for the destination. Same way with the virtual hard drive. Click next. You'll come up to your summary page. Make sure all that looks good. Click on finish and go get a cup of coffee. Alright, so that import took about 5 minutes. Now I've got two checkpoints here. I've got one at 2:08 p.m. on the 12th and one for right now that just was restored. So I'm going to delete this checkpoint here. And what's going to happen is once I delete it, it's going to merge. You see it says a merge in progress. So it's going to merge the old one with this one and give us one complete file name. So again, I'm going to come under settings here and I'm going to rename this virtual machine. We're going to call this W10P and we'll call it New Lab 1. We're going to get rid of all this information in here. The other thing we're going to do is come down here and we're going to browse and we're going to rename this as well, our virtual hard drive. W10P-New Lab 1. Enter. And then make sure we double click on it so it has a new virtual image. We don't need this image file in here, so we can go ahead and tell it none and then click on apply. Now hopefully, if we go to right click and connect and then click power on, hopefully it'll start up as a new Sysprep machine. Here's hoping. Alright, so we went through a really long boot process. Well, I say really long, it was probably only a couple of minutes of the spinning circle. And I'm hoping that this time it brings me up to the Windows 10 setup screen, just like it were a new computer from Dell or IBM or HP or Lenovo. Well, I should have said Lenovo, not IBM, but you get what I mean. Okay, so here we go. It's just like we've started up Windows 10 for the first time. Click on next, and we'll have to go through all these this Q&A. You know this. You know the routine by now. So let this run. Well, there you go. This is new. I've never seen this before on startup, but I'll go ahead and accept it because, of course, I run only legal copies of Windows 10. Now, you can run Windows 10. I'm going to choose an organization. Click on next. Now, you can run Windows 10. It's free to run. I mean, you can never activate it, and it'll keep running. Now, again, I'm going to have to type Adama 1 again and enter my super secret password because the Adama account was already created on the image. I don't know why it keeps that. Click on next. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and answer my security questions. No, I do not want to use Cortana. And of course, you know me. I'm going to turn off all this. It doesn't really keep them from sending information, but it makes you feel better to click on those no buttons. Go ahead and click accept. I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something about Windows 10. Oh yeah, you can run Windows 10 and never activate it. And the only thing you can't do that I'm aware of is personalize your desktop. But it'll run. And there are ways to get Windows 10 keys out there legitimately, and some are a little shady. But what you guys do with how you activate your Windows is between you and Microsoft. I'm not going to make any judgments. I make my software. If I'm using it, I want to pay for it. That's just the way I feel. If you are a student or you're an educator, you can get an education discount. The software might as well be free if you're an educator, either a teacher or a student, because Microsoft wants you to use their software, so they make the price so inexpensive it'd be foolish not to buy it, and that includes the Office suite. So if you're a college student or a high school student or a high school teacher or college teacher, I would recommend you get into their education program. You can get the licenses fairly inexpensively. Okay, of course it brings up Edge browser, which nobody uses except to download Google Chrome. But what I want to do is click on the Windows. Actually, I'm going to click on File Explorer and then right click on this PC and go to Properties, and you'll see that it is a Intel Xeon E5620, 4 gig of RAM. We should have 4 CPUs on here. Our display adapters, Hyper-V. Let's see, we have 4 processors. We have our Hyper-V and storage spaces controller. All is well with the world. So there you go. We've now imported a Sysprep to Windows 10 and Windows 7. Alright, how about we do the same thing with our server? Let's go to Import, click on Next. We'll browse to our Synology NAS, to our backup folder and our exports folder and our server 2016 gold. We'll select that folder. Click on Next. We're going to choose the server 2016 gold image. We're going to copy and create a new unique ID. Click on Next. Choose the defaults for the file location, including the virtual hard drive. And then read your summary. Make sure you understand everything it says and click on Finish. And hopefully in a couple of minutes we'll have a server for our new lab. So again, that took all of about 5 or 6 minutes to import that virtual machine. So now what I want to do is I want to go and get rid of these older images here. So what I'm going to do, I believe I start with this one. I'm going to right click and I'm going to delete that checkpoint. No big deal. If we screw this up, we can import it again. So I'm going to delete it. You should see it showing a merge. And I may have to do this twice. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to do it twice. I'm going to have to, let's see. This is the one from 6:58 p.m. So let's see if I can delete that checkpoint as well. Nope. How about this one? Nope. Alright, well let's see if we have one file now. No, it still has that old one. So let's see if I can delete this one as well. Okay, now it's merging. Now I should have one image. Let me see. Yes. So you see how that worked. So start with your oldest image or checkpoint, delete it until you get to the right one if you made the same little boo-boo that I did. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and browse. And we're going to call this, we're going to rename this. So we'll right click on it and rename. And we'll just call it 2016 dash new lab 1. That's a good name, huh? We can always change that later, but for now we'll just call it that. Server 2016 gold for the description. We'll delete the information and we'll do it the same way here. We'll call it 2016 dash new lab 1. Go ahead and click on apply. And now let's right click and connect to it. And let's go ahead and power it on and see what happens. Woohoo! Exciting stuff here. So once you get the basics down for Hyper-V, it's having used, I've used ESXi, I have used Zen Server, I have used Proxmox, and I still come running back to Hyper-V. Hyper-V has its flaws as well as any hypervisor does. But if you've ever used ESXi, it's a hell of a lot easier to use than ESXi. It's a hell, especially if you're used to a Windows environment, pointing and clicking. Zen Server would be my second favorite hypervisor, but again, we're a Microsoft shop, so all three of my, both of my Dells and my IBMs have Hyper-V on them. It just makes our life a lot easier when we're playing around in the lab. Eventually I'll switch to another hypervisor, and I've got a lot of spare machines around here I could run another hypervisor on to play around with, and Zen would be my second favorite hypervisor. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and walk through the setup. I'll accept the license terms. I'm going to go ahead and... Now, it's weird that Windows Server 2016, you notice it allows me to create another administrator account, so whatever the Sysprep feature does on Server 2016, it doesn't do on Windows 10 or Windows 7. So let me see if I can log in now. Looks good so far. Yes, I want to join the MCS local network. And let's go out and let's see what kind of machine we have here. Go to this PC, go to properties. So it's an Intel Xeon E5620, 2.4 gigahertz, 4 gig of RAM. It's Windows Server 2016 standard. We go here to Device Manager. We should see our display adapter, Hyper-V video. We should see our 4 CPUs that we've assigned this, our storage controller, yes. All looks well with the world. So yet another successful import of a virtual machine. So we built upon our past knowledge where we created our virtual machine images, or Windows 10 or Windows 7, and Sysprepped them. I've shown you how to do the same thing with Windows Server 2016. And you may never use this in your daily life or even in the enterprise. Hell, I don't know. This is how I do it for my clients that are running Hyper-V and we need virtual machines. This is how I do it for my lab. Now, this is just the building blocks of the lab. And in another video, I'm going to show you, since we have 3 of these machines, 3 of these servers, we have 2 Dells and an IBM, I'm going to show you how to easily move the virtual machines between different Hyper-V machines with different hardware and different specifications, but we'll save that for another video. But this is why, again, I keep coming back to Hyper-V as my hypervisor. And the best part of this is I still have Windows behind the scenes. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me, and that's fine. That's what makes the world go round. But I still have the full Windows operating system, and I have Hyper-V. And you still have all the added benefits of if you need this to be a DNS server, or if you need it to be an Active Directory server, or a DHCP server, or a simple file server, you have that ability. That's something you don't have with ESXi. That's something you don't have with Zen. Something you don't have with Proxmox. And you can't manage your drives under those either. If I wanted to put a couple of hard drives in here, set them up in a RAID 1 array, I could do that under Windows. I can't do that under Proxmox. I can't do that under Zen. I can't do that under ESXi. Well, normally you can't do that. So, yet another reason for me to stick with Hyper-V. So there you go. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Please give us a like, leave your comments down in the comments section. We love hearing comments from subscribers and those who aren't subscribers. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Hit the notification bell so you'll get notified when we have new videos come out. If you're inclined to donate, we take PayPal, we take Patreon. The links are in our About page. And so check it out. And if you feel compelled, send us some moolah and we'll put it right back into the channel. Thanks again for watching. Please don't forget to come back and see us again. And don't forget, we will see you on the other side.